Joining us now is attorney Asher Rubinstein, a specialist in international asset protection. Asher, good to see you again. Thanks so much for showing up. You're not surprised by this. Why?
I'm not surprised by it because the IRS has obtained a tremendous amount of information about service providers, attorneys, and other professionals who assisted Americans in hiding their assets offshore. The IRS got this information from UBS and from the 7,500 Americans who came forward under the amnesty program. And they're going through this information and they're trying to pattern things together and find blocks of information. And one thing that's coming across is that a lot of Americans used Hong Kong entities to obscure the true beneficial ownership of the foreign accounts.
And we should point out 6 or 7 criminal complaints filed, and about 4 of them do have a Hong Kong connection, correct?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I don't think that this is really unique to Hong Kong. I think that as the IRS continues, and the IRS will continue, they're going to find that other jurisdictions as well were also involved. I don't think Hong Kong offered anything unique in the sense that anybody can go into a number of jurisdictions around the world and open up a trust or a foundation or an entity in order to remain somewhat anonymous.
Asher, how many offshore accounts in Hong Kong do you think, illegal accounts, American accounts, do you think that we're dealing with right now?
Oh, I think that the IRS is going to get their hands on hundreds, if not thousands, of accounts in Hong Kong. And I think after that, the IRS is going to go after accounts in Singapore and Panama and the Jersey and the Channel Islands, etc.
Doesn't it beg the question, didn't anybody learn with the whole situation with UBS? Now, granted, there was an amnesty offered, but people are getting penalized by the IRS.
That's right. The amnesty expired on October 15th, but it's still not too late to come forward. The IRS welcomes people to come forward now, even after October 15th. The difference is the penalties are going to be a little bit higher, but if you come forward now before the IRS finds you, then jail time is significantly reduced.
But a lot of offshore accounts, they have what are called nominee services, right? What are those?
Nominee service providers are locals that act or purport to act as the officers and directors of the corporations, whereas the person who really controls the corporation or the beneficial owner of the corporation's assets is an American. But what the American taxpayer is trying to do with these nominees is to obscure the American's true ownership of the account so as to make the case that it's really somebody offshore that owns the account and avoid taxation on it.
How are you advising clients right now? Is there any reason, are there any exceptions why people might want to take the chance and not get discovered by the IRS?
I really don't think that's a good strategy. The momentum is really behind the IRS now.
That's an understatement, right?
Yeah, the IRS is going to leverage its success against Switzerland and against UBS to other jurisdictions and other banks and financial institutions around the world. In addition, the U.S. has signed numerous tax information exchange agreements, TIEs, with other countries, and there's pending legislation here introduced by various senators, congressmen, and President Obama himself. The tide has really turned against hiding assets offshore from the government. Now, you can still have offshore assets for many reasons. It's legitimate to be offshore so long as you're compliant.
What do Americans need to know about how to do that legally?
Well, look, it's not illegal to have an account offshore, but if you have such a, and there are many good reasons to have accounts offshore, such as asset protection, such as availing yourself of foreign investments, such as perhaps you work offshore and you need an account there, or you send your kids to school offshore, whatever it is, it's not illegal to have an offshore account, provided that A, the account is disclosed, and B, all taxes are paid on that account. If the account is compliant and A and B are met, then you're fine.
Asher, we have about 30 seconds left. We also saw today a court in Hong Kong found 4 people guilty of market manipulation. Is this an example of Hong Kong trying to get ahead of this regulatory reform curve?
You know, I'd really be surprised if that was the case. I think that once Hong Kong joined China and China joined the World Trade Organization, I really don't, Hong Kong can't act as a renegade state. I don't think that that's really a long-term possibility.
All right. Asher, thanks so much. Asher Rubinstein joining us today talking about Hong Kong and talking about
illegal tax shelters.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much.